All right, welcome everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. After watching the film yesterday, definitely feel like it was a game that we just needed to execute in certain areas to win a football game. I think that the guys came out with the right attitude, thought we had the right game plan, did a lot of great things in certain areas at certain times. A lot of players had really good games, but ultimately – we have 6 keys to victory. The first one is always the turnover margin, and anytime you turn the ball over 3 times and they only turn it over once, usually it's an uphill battle. So played a pretty clean game for the most part. Couldn't get things going really in the first half, but those turnovers we'll have to learn from, and we'll do that. And so I like the way our guys came in yesterday with the eagerness to learn and get better from it. I think our defense is continuing to take steps forward, can definitely find ways to continue to improve and make it even tougher on teams to score. So I think we're improving. I think we did some things that we expect to be better in games like that for us to win. So moving on to South Dakota State, I think that they're an outstanding football team. Coach Stiegelmeyer does a great job. Has always been a guy that's always been really good to me since I got the job, and have a ton of respect for him and how he does it at South Dakota State. Obviously, the Player of the Year coming back in the conference, talented offensively, do a great job defensively at just really understanding what they do, how they do it, well coached in the right spots, talented players on both sides of the football. So it's going to be a great test for us on the road. They haven't been home in a few weeks. It's going to be a great crowd, but I like how our team has been the first 2 weeks that we've been on the road. I like how our approach to Southeast Missouri, and I like our approach when we went down to Memphis. So it'll be a similar type atmosphere, probably not as many people, but that type of atmosphere that we were in at Memphis. So got to be willing to go up there and accept the challenge and play well if we want to get a win.
How did Youngstown State put pressure on Christian? Did they blitz? Did they just do it with the front 4? And how do you do that on a guy that rolls out?
Well, when you look at that game, they can completely dominated the time of possession. Youngstown had the ball for over 45 minutes of the game. They only had 37 plays of offense, which I don't know if I've ever seen a team have that few of plays in a game. So, number one, the best defense on a talented players like they have is keep them on the sideline, and that's what Youngstown's game plan was, obviously, is run the football and be good on third down, keep themselves on the field. And they went on some drives where they just grinded it out, and they ran the football for over 300 yards. And anytime you can run the ball for over 300 yards, usually it's working out in your favor as far as the wins and losses. So as far as they got some things going in those first 2 drives, South Dakota State, and they are always going to move the football. They do a really good job early in games too. It seems like their first possession or 2 every game that they play, even going back in the last season in the playoff game against North Dakota State, they ended up getting beat in that game. But early, they're up 10-0. They score quick. They just get off to fast starts, and they did that. They left a few points on the board, South Dakota State, with a couple turnovers. They had it down there in the red zone, weren't able to punch it in. But they score early, and just anytime you have a running quarterback, you got to do your job, stay in your lanes, know your assignment. Can't try to you got to tackle well. So many times people have him, but then he just makes an athletic play, and he's hard to bring down. He's a big kid, great football player. I mean, that's why he was we talk about what a great league we have and great players and all of this. I mean, he was voted as the best last year, so he's just a talented player.
When Christian decides to roll out, what position has him? Is it a linebacker that goes out?
It just all depends on different schemes. Depends on what coverage you're in, what front you're in, what if you got a pressure on, that changes every single snap really. They don't do a ton of him rolling out, so to speak, as far as like sprint out and get him out of the pocket. He does a lot of that on his own. Play breaks down and then he gets out of the pocket, makes it. They do a lot of run pass options where it's a run play and a pass play together, and it's a tough offense to contain because they have individual players that make plays, the tight end and the receiver, and he does a good job of putting the ball in places that they can make plays. He's an accurate thrower, and so, he just does a great job moving that offense.
So how do you keep the ball for 45 minutes on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do that or not. I think we'll have a good game plan going in as far as what we want to do on offense, and like I said, last week we have to execute that. We can't turn it over. We can't turn it over 3 times. We have to be efficient with everything that we do. We weren't real efficient against Northern Iowa as far as when we had the chances, being sound in everything we do and capitalizing on things, some from every position really, false starts, drop balls, misread here or there, few things here and there. When it comes down to playing great teams, those things add up and you're not clicking on all cylinders. We have to go up there and we have to play well. Number one, we're on the road in playing against a top 10 team, and you got to execute at a high level and be efficient with every time you have the football.
Does the Memphis game and the style, at least, and the athletes and on the road, does that help preparation for this game?
Yeah, I think so. I think that our guys have been on the road against a good team. I think that'll help. But each game is different, and I think that we have to really hone in on what these guys do well and try to take that away and be sound. They do a good job of giving you a few new things every week too. They'll have a new formation, a new little wrinkle, a way to get their guys the football. I mean, they've been playing together for a while, so you gotta think of ways to get them the ball, and they do a great job of that. Their offensive staff does a good job of moving them around. Sometimes you'll see Goddard in the backfield, wide receiver, lined up, attached tight end. So you got to be you got to know where they're at all the time, and you got to communicate and just do a good job of, number one, being lined up and giving yourself a chance first at the snap, and then you got to execute post snap.
You mentioned Goddard. You have some big safeties, but what challenges does a 6'4", 260-pound tight end that can run and jump, challenge in the passing game?
Yeah, well, I was hoping that he'd go to the NFL draft after last year, so we didn't have to see him this year. But he's just a good player, makes plays even when you do have him covered. And part of that is because he's got a really good quarterback putting the ball in tight windows. And he catches the ball well. You rarely see him drop balls. Catches the ball well, runs real well as far as his speed, and he's got a big body, so he'll use his body to get open. So yeah, we've got to do a good job, and we've got to be physical. We've got to get up in them and make them earn everything. And at times last year we didn't do that. Sometimes we gave them some deep ones and gave them some easy ones, and so it'll be tough to go through a 4-quarter game where they don't get going, and we've got to be able to weather those storms and tackle them and make them earn everything. And then we've got to do a good job on offense as well. Even in the game against Youngstown, Winicky had 3 catches in one drive, and they go down and score, and he's got like 60 yards receiving in one drive. So they're going to get targeted a lot, and they do a good job on offense of doing that. So we've just got to play our game and execute and be ready for a 4-quarter game.
A week ago, you talked about, seemed to me you were a bit surprised with how well, I guess this wasn't in the video, of how well you guys did, the coaches evaluated one-on-one battles. How did it look against the
Yeah, I think some good, some not good. You know, we've got to continue to elevate our game in a lot of different areas. I think you know, continue to improve. I think they expose some things. They got good players. We've got good players. But physically, sometimes you get put in one-on-one matchups in football, and some of us, you know, responded well, and then they got us, and that's why they ended up winning, is because they had an opportunity and they made some plays.
It looked like did you coach the game up as well as you think you could have?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I mean. After going back and watching it, offense, defense, special teams, we really wouldn't have done anything differently. Felt good about the game plan. Things were there to take advantage of. Even in the first, I mean, you go back to the first drive, you know, that's probably our best first drive that we've had in a few weeks, as far as just working the ball down, run, pass, set up a screen. You're right there. Really, the penalty has nothing to do with the play, just a mental mistake. We got the ball at the 2-yard line, first down at the 2, and then we ended up kicking a 46-yard field goal. That's kind of how the whole first half kind of went, as far as just couldn't overcome that.
Your offensive line obviously has improved, but you know how well did they fill your expectations? I mean, you mentioned the protection, but they can't be expected to block for 6 seconds for him every down.
No, yeah, but they continue to do a good job. Sam does a good job. There's the times that we gave up some pressures. He gets the ball out. You know, another game that we didn't give up a sack, which is always an emphasis. So I think they're doing a good job, but there's a lot of room to improve, continue to get push, create a new line of scrimmage. We've got to continue to challenge those guys and keep raising our level of expectations and play there. You know, I think that just got to continue to get better right there. I don't think it was their best game. I think we played okay, but we got to get better.
How good is physically is Straub now? Is he okay? He was limping around a little bit after one hit.
Yeah, he took a couple shots, but that's part of the game, you know, and he feels pretty good. That's what yesterday and today he was out there, got the full workout in with our strength coach, and today's a good day of recovery. He's up here watching film and be ready to go.
On the misses, on a couple, 3 or 4 different plays, was it him throwing it wrong spot, or receiver not running the right route?
No, we had a couple. You know, got asked that after the game. A couple miscommunications as far as them being on the same page. You know, as far as what coverage they were getting and what route they would convert it to. So, you know, that's just continue to work with each other and see it, and we got to do a better job of giving them those hard looks in practice, so then they see it and it's not new to them in the game.
Do you see a lot of similarities between your two programs? If you take the teams out, I mean, you're both in a fairly small city. You're not really close to a major airport. You know, do you see a lot of similarities in South Dakota State?
I'd never really thought of it that way. You know, our players come from different areas, different. You know, not necessarily different style. I think both of our teams, a lot of the teams, the same type of philosophy as far as what you're trying to accomplish on offense and defense and what style of play. You know, we all have to be physical, and we all have to have great athletes to compete. So I never really thought of it as like that. I've never been up to South Dakota State, you know, as an assistant or a player. But I know that they have a beautiful stadium. I can see it on film, and nothing but positive things as far as what I hear about the place. And Coach Stiegelmeier, every time I see him at the meetings and things like that, just, you know, outstanding coach and really mentor for the game, and coaches like myself, you know, young in their careers.
Darrell on Saturday night kind of put the blame on himself for the past 2 losses. How do you stop him from getting into his head like that?
Yeah, he'll be fine. I mean, he's a competitor, and after the game, things. I mean, we know when we come in here on Sundays and we talk about the reasons why and take a deep look. I mean, we could have all done things better. You know, he had a drop, or could have done some things better, just like all of us, coaches and players. So it wasn't just one. It wasn't one guy or one thing. We could have all been better to make the outcome different.
How is Jacob Barble?
It's kind of still wait and see. Good news as far as not going to be a thing with surgery. The knee is fine. Really, it's his Achilles and his lower leg. That's where it's really both. But he was on crutches yesterday, and so good news as far as, when out there on the field and even after the game, not knowing if it would be a thing where it's an ACL or structural and surgery. So good news that it's not going to be anything like that. But he's still going to have to, it would definitely be really questionable for this week as far as that quick of a turnaround. But we'll definitely be getting Jake back, and we'll kind of just see how the week goes with him. We don't meet with the trainers until later this evening as far as Monday, getting a good accurate indication on where everybody's at and injury report. So we'll see later in the week how he is.
Who would you go with at tight end if he's not available?
Well, we got a few guys. Hans does a good job of playing even 11 personnel. Hasn't been asked to do a ton of that, but you see him out there. I mean, he does a good job of doing that stuff. Jalen Carter's a redshirt freshman that's been in our 22 package and traveled to games last year as a true freshman. Didn't play, but has a chance to be a good player here. So his role is going to have to step up, and he's going to have to play well. That's really when you get your opportunity. When you find out about young guys, nobody's going to know about them, but we do, and we've seen them, and they've gotten a million reps from spring and fall camp, and so the guys are going to have to step up, just like in other positions. When a linebacker or somebody else goes down, the young guy's going to have to step up and play well.
Is that an advantage being as young as you are, because it's a young guy replacing the young guy?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. I think that they're all in there. They all get coached up. They all come here to play, and we'll have anybody that we put out there. We're going to have confidence in that they can get the job done. That's the thing with when you travel in the Missouri Valley, you can only dress 60 players on the road. So all of those guys that make the trip have definitely earned the right to be on the trip and done the right things, and we feel good about.
Do they blitz a ton on defense?
Not a ton, not a big blitz team. They'll bring their pressures just like everybody else, but they do a good job of being sound, and you don't see a ton of huge plays against them. They keep things in front. They do a good job of tackling, making you earn it. Knowing that they have a good offense too, I think is big. So it's not a huge blitz team, but they do have their blitz packages, and we've got to be ready to do that. They've sacked us several times last year. And so overall, they do it. They have a good defensive scheme.
Just a little question off the game. The new early signing period's coming up. You expect to sign a bunch of people then, as opposed to February?
Yeah, I think we'll sign a good amount in the early signing period. We have quite a few commitments right now, and that's kind of what that signing period is for now. Is like, hey, they're committed, and you want them to sign, and they want to sign, and you can get it over with a couple.
So do you like the new signing period?
We haven't done it much. I think that it's it's not a bad thing. I think some people want it really. The Power Fives and the FBS kind of have more say or different opinions on that than a bunch of FCS coaches. I think that the guys that are committed to us, or and recruiting really speeds up in December. But if they're committed, I think the early signing date is good for, hey, they're committed, we're committed to you. You can sign. Some coaches believe that, hey, they commit, they should be able to sign right there, because there's a lot of flip-flopping that goes on in the last 2 months of recruiting, especially at that level. So I think it'll be a good thing.
For that reason, do you anticipate you'll have more competition recruiting in November? More FBS programs coming to these kids and say, well, you may be on our radar too, and trying to change their mind earlier. How you're talking about December, January.
Yeah, no, you've got to be ready for all of that. That's why you got to constantly be recruiting every day, really all day, constant contact with the guys that you have committed, the guys that you're after. We had an official visit this past weekend, so I think some official visits will move up a little bit sooner. You know, that's what you see, especially at that level. You know, just everything's getting bumped up just a little bit, which is a little bit different too. We've had in-season official visits every single year, but you know, you might have a few more now that you're trying to get them on campus, especially ones that haven't been here in the summer unofficially, and you need to get them here and their families here to see the place before they do make that decision and sign.
Is there a limit, like 25 kids you can sign in December?
There's no limit as far as the amount. There's a limit, you know, overall, just like every signing day, how many you can sign. And really, on us this year, it'll be a smaller class just because we only have 14 seniors. So, as far as the amount of kids that we'll sign, this will probably be our smallest class. As far as the last 2 years, we've signed quite a few kids each class.